What up everybody, it's Anime Jink here. Welcome to part 8 to What If Deku Could Use Chakra, and now let's get to the intro.
I'm not the one you wanna fuck with. Late nights messing up my sleep, so I'm flustered. Taking out aggression with my pen because I trust it. Writing, trying to get myself a lamb color cuss for the game. Leave him hanging by his chain. Click bang, feeling rage, feeling fire in my brain, feeling sane. And it's slowly feeling flames, feeling fire from my brain. Praying more, please still, no glory.
Okay guys, I am so tired. Today at gym, it was really hard. I felt like I wanted to die. I just wanted that sweet release of death. But anyways, enough of that. Let's actually get to the story and let's finish the sports festival, because I really want to continue this series and I want to get to the good parts, because that is when the Tailed Beast and all the different missions that Deku is going to be going with the higher ranked heroes. Because remember, when he actually gets his provisional license exam, or he actually gets his provisional license, he's gonna be pretty much a hero, and he's gonna be a high ranking one too. Let's say he's somewhere close to 10th rank. Let's say 11th or 12th rank. And I'm kinda actually like planning a special arc for Deku, because he's a hero now and he's allowed to do like special missions. So I'll be sending him with Endeavor, all the top 10 heroes, to a really spy mission or really covert mission that doesn't really need to be given to the entire public. So that is a covert mission that he'll be basically going to, and he'll be really trustworthy, because everybody knows he defeated the number 2 hero or number 1 hero by that time. He defeated the number 1 hero easily with one blow, so everybody knows that he's no one to mess with. So next, I don't remember if I already did Todoroki versus Deku, but if I didn't, I'll do it right now. It's pretty simple. Deku would basically start off with basically combat, all that stuff, and using some of his Susanoo to attack with his Susanoo hands and to block the ice and break it, and maybe he might even use a weapon or two. Not actual weapons, but the Susanoo's weapons, like the bow or the sword or the crossbow and all that stuff. So eventually he would convince Todoroki to use his fire and ice together, and he would use that, and the same attack would basically come to Deku. Deku would use his black flames to basically burn the fire itself and the ice, or melt the ice if you actually want to say it properly. He would melt the ice and burn the fire, because Amaterasu is so hot that it can actually burn fire, and completely going through the attack and hitting Todoroki, and he goes flying just like Endeavor himself into the wall, cracking it, and Todoroki's body's covered with burns and there's still a little bit of fire left, but Deku would just like dissipate the fire and start healing them with his healing jutsu and stuff. So yeah, and he's healing them because he wants to show everyone that he has the ability to attack and take down people with only one shot, and also heal other people on his own team. So he's basically showing off to everyone that these are my powers, I can do all this stuff. And he doesn't really show off that much, because he's only showing off his one-shot abilities. He has way more other abilities that are really useful, and I think it would use some of his abilities, like the shadow clone, and some people would actually interview him after the sports festival. He's like, oh, what were those cloning jutsus? What is that? Is that like something similar to Ectoplasm's quirk? And he's one of the teachers who can clone himself by like taking out gas out of his mouth. So they would ask him about it, and he was like, yeah, it is kind of similar, because they do puff off and smoke goes all over the place, so it's kind of really similar. Actually, it is really similar, but I don't think Ectoplasm actually gets the same memories back towards him, but if it does, it's exactly the same. So yeah, so this would actually catch Edshot's eye, and he's like, that is really useful for covert missions or spying missions or interrogation missions. And he also saw his interrogation ability with Shinsho's fight, so he's like, this kid has a really strong interrogation quirk, he can get any information out of them. And he also has like spying abilities, like creating clones, and he can basically just send a clone inside of a building, and if he gets attacked, he won't really get the damage back to his real body, and he will get the experience and all the memories of the clone that he experienced inside of the body, and it's really useful. And also, I think Todoroki would try to hide in his ice or something like that, and he would show off his sensory abilities, and Edshot would also like this, because he can immediately sense where the enemy is inside of a building if he doesn't really know that. So he's a sensory hero. He's also a really large or army type of hero, one-man army type of hero, and he's a powerhouse by himself, and he's also really skilled at spying missions and all that stuff, and interrogation, by the way. So I think let's say Edshot was looking for a successor, because no one in his entire agency or his underground agency, which does the interrogation and all that stuff, he still hasn't found a really good successor who has the skill and talent and the mindscape to lead his agency. I mean, he's getting old, he's probably been doing this for a while, and he's trying to find his next successor. So he thinks like, if this kid trains really well and gets enough experience under his belt, I think he can become the next successor of my agency. So this plan is also brewing inside of his mind, and he's like, maybe this kid is good. And Bakugo's fight happens easily. Deku basically defeats him easily. He becomes #1, All Might gives him the medal and everything like that. Let's move on to the internships. He gets to Edshot's agency because Edshot is his favorite hero. He's like the spying hero, the ninja hero type of ninja hero. So he's like, okay, that is a person I really like. He looks up to Edshot, #1. Then it's All Might because of his strength and amazing ability. Then it's Aizawa because he also has an ocular power like him. So those are the 3 heroes he looks up to, and he would have really chosen any 3 of them if they did give him an agency. So in this one, Edshot gave him an agency, so he chose Edshot. A lot of people basically see this like, wait, Edshot? I thought his agency was something like Daily Patrol or something, but what is this agency about this black market thing? And not black market, just comment down below what Edshot's underground agency, interrogation agency, or spying agency would be named. But yeah, I don't really know. It's something to do with the black market. That's exactly why I said black market. But yeah, everybody just says like, wait, I thought Edshot's agency was named something else. Is this like a second agency? And Aizawa was like, okay, I think it wouldn't really hurt if they know that, because they are going to become heroes one day, and they're class 1A, so they're probably going to be really high ranked hero one day. So he would explain it that Edshot has 2 agencies. This agency is the underground agency, which is interrogating other villains, also spying missions, all that covert, all that stuff, and that is exactly why Deku's going there, because his abilities are exactly like that: interrogation, spying, and he's a powerhouse, so he might even become the greatest hero in history. So Deku would go to Edshot's agency. I think Edshot would actually see or actually go on a mission with Deku with like a few, like 5 people and Edshot and Deku, so about 7 people in this thing, and they would have this hostage situation, and I think he would actually test Deku to see his abilities in a really dire situation. And he knows what Class 1A has actually gone through. They've gone through 1 villain attack already, so they're already experienced with villains and stuff. So you're like, okay, Deku, you take the lead. What do you do in this situation? So he basically throws a kunai at the ground in front of the door, and one of the men inside of there basically comes outside. Deku knocks him out with his electricity, hides him, and then transforms into him. Edshot is really surprised, like, I didn't know you had this ability. Well, I didn't really show it in the sports festival, so I'm not surprised you didn't know about it. So he walks in basically dressed in like that, and he basically goes up to the other people and says, oh, it was just this kunai, and he's like, okay, and then he goes up to one of the other people and he's like, okay, our boss is a fake, we need to knock him out. And the other person believes this, and then he would attack the other one, and the boss would actually think that one is actually a fake, so he'd attack him, instantly knock him out with bullets and injuring him. So he would basically knock out one, and then he would go for the boss, taking down one of them, and then he would transform back and tells the civilians like, don't worry, I'm a hero, don't worry. And some of them would recognize him as the hero in the sports festival, but yeah. Then Deku would actually touch the ground, or his feet are touching the ground, so we'd actually sense the entire building, and there's another person coming towards this area, and he's like, okay, everybody calm down, and he would basically hide next to the door, hiding, and when the other person comes in, he has his guard up, and he also has his gun pointing at every other hero. Deku attacks him with a Chidori, completely immobilizing him with electricity and putting him down. Edshot is really surprised by this, and everybody is like also surprised by this. So little girl is really scared, is one of the hostages, so he actually creates like a little electric mouse and starts moving around, and she starts playing with it, and Edshot also, he gets to see Deku in a different light, because he always thought that Deku was like this cruel person who only cares about torturing villains and all that stuff. But he actually finds out that he actually has a soft side to other people that are civilians and girls like them. So yeah, he would go back and he would tell Deku about his plans, like, I want you to be the next successor, I want you to be the next head of the interrogation department. And by the way, there's different branches of interrogation department throughout Japan. The one that Edshot is with, he is the main boss of the entire interrogation department, and this is the main interrogation, or the main base of it. So these are where the S ranked or SS ranked heroes, or villains are kept and interrogated. Deku also shows really good promise in interrogations. They would actually test interrogations, or Deku's interrogation ability. He would interrogate a lot of criminals and find out a lot of different bases. He's also interrogating, one of the interrogating people that he interrogates is one of the members of this mafia group that is really infamous for their quirk, whatever, or basically gang violence or something. But it's a mafia gang and they hide out in different places. They don't know anything about him, and they couldn't get anything out of this suspect. So Deku goes in there and gets the information. He tells him to write down all the questions that he has on this board, because he doesn't really want to write anything down. So he passes it to him, puts his Sharingan on, tell him to write everything that he knows. If he doesn't know it, put like a question mark next to it. And he basically gives the paper back to him. He has all the answers, gives it to everyone, and then he snaps out of the genjutsu and asks him, he's like, what happened? And he's like, I got all the answers. And he's like, how'd you do it? And then he says something like cool, something like this, and he would say, whenever I walk into a room, I get what I want. And he would something say like that and walk out, and everybody over there would think he's really cool. Except for that, he's like, damn you bastard, how can you do this? And then he also goes to Edshot. Edshot tells him, okay, this is a mission that I will send you because I trust you, because you have the abilities that you showed me today. I trust you fully that you'll be able to complete this. So Deku is put in charge to basically get or take down the mafia group that he found out about. So he's like, wait, don't I have any teammates? He's like, no, I don't think you need any teammates, because you're a powerhouse by yourself and your skills are outranking my own. So go alone. And he's like, okay. And he's like, where is this villain base? And he's like, oh, Hosu City. Okay, got it. See ya. And he packs up his all stuff. He sharpens his weapons and gets all the equipment, and then basically jumps out and starts running on the buildings and starting to go to Hosu City. So he gets there. He takes care of the mafia group easily. He basically paralyzes the people that have mutant quirks and the other people that have emitter type quirks or transformation type quirks. He puts the steel to basically block off their chakra, so they won't be able to use their abilities or quirks. And then he calls in the police. He basically tells them, it's like, oh, these guys are the people with mutant type quirks, they're paralyzed, and the people with emitter and transformation type quirks, they can't use their quirks anymore. Just give me a call, or just give the agency a call, that if you want them to release their quirks, I can do that, and you can just call me in and I'll release it. And then he's like, okay, my mission's done, and I've already like sent in like a hawk or teleported this to Edshot. He used like a scroll. He wrote everything down. He's like, everything is okay, I finished the mission in like 30 seconds. And he uses flying rising to teleport the scroll to a kunai that he left with Edshot. So then he's like, okay, I'm in Hosu City, so I better just enjoy it for now. And he goes around. Then the villain attack happens, the Nomu attack happens. Then he's like, okay, I heard Ida was here. And he basically uses sensory abilities to find Ida, and he's like fighting someone. It's like, oh crap. And he goes over there, teleporting to Ida, and he's like about to be stabbed by Stain, and Deku is basically just teleports in front of him and about to punch him, and that's it. I'm sorry for this cliffhanger. What am I saying? But I'm sorry for this cliffhanger. It's already 13 minutes. I just realized that right now, or almost 14 minutes. So hope you guys like, because it really does help the channel out. Make sure to subscribe to join the family, and also hit the bell icon for my future videos. And as always, Anime Junkie out.